As someone interested in politics, I have a lot of ideas, I've read a lot of people, and I've seen the sides of pretty much every issue that exists currently in the United States. One of the things I think is most crucial to our nation is voting, and access to voting and our voting system in particular. As it is, our voting system is number one, not part of the Constitution, not part of the U.S. Code. Two, is determined wholly by the two parties that have a biopoly on our election system. Let me just make this better. Toss that. And three, um, people do not, ordinary Americans do not choose who gets onto the general election ballot. Here in Washington State, we have the top two primary system, which I think is a lot better, but I think could be improved on from there. I've looked at all the systems in the world, and I've narrowed it down to just a few that I really think have the best effects from what I've read. To begin with, people need to be able to have proportional representation is a great idea. We eliminated the districts, and in states, it would give Republicans in states that, like Oregon, a greater chance of getting representation, and Democrats in states like Texas, a better chance to get represented. So it helps both ideologies, and whoever gets the most votes in those states would get the highest amount. And this has been used before in this country, in certain places for state legislatures. Particularly used to be in Illinois before 1980. This will make it so that people have a better reason to vote if they're not part of the majority already. Because as it is, if you say, oh, it's going to go to Democrat, it doesn't matter. Then if you're a Republican or vice versa, it doesn't really matter. Then you're not going to vote and your voice is not going to be heard, which we need in this country to work. Another problem is gerrymandering, because that is a crucial issue. Where you draw the lines determines what party gets the district. And some states have very bad rules on how they're drawn. This fixes that problem. Gerrymandering is no longer an issue. And it will not be state by state because each state's representatives will be determined depending on who gets what votes. So the way I'm seeing how it would probably work is that all the candidates would be on one ballot that would go to all the people of the state and say vote on your top three. And the people who get the most votes to fill the seats would win. This would solve a lot of problems. It also, if you do it in a nonpartisan manner, which is essential, will stop that. Another thing and this is a form of ranked voting, which is also a crucial part. If you say, this is my first choice, second choice, third choice, it gives third parties a chance to get into power, which currently is not going to happen. But not just because they don't have strong platforms on how they're going to come into power. They have to have that. So here's my idea for how it should work. We need to continue to have a primary and a general election because there are a lot of candidates. We need to narrow the field so people can get the best choice. The primary election in Washington State is held in August, which gives us 3 months of campaigning. It's not enough to go absolutely crazy, but it's not so much that you get bored. It's basically the perfect length of time. I think for all congressional elections and presidential elections, there should be a uniform primary the second week of August that lasts the entire week. And mail-in voting needs to be available for these elections across the country. It is as secure as any other form, and it makes it so people who are disabled or elderly have the ability to vote. And you don't have to remember it. It comes to you in the mail. I think 40 cents per voter is a good cost for democracy. That's worth it. Absolutely. Then the way the vote comes is essential. You will get your primary ballot for that second week of August, and you'll say, mail it back in, we'll count it if it gets here before Saturday, and it's going to go to your county, so it's going to work all right. So you're going to give, and it'd be right. So the first person you get gets 4 votes, second gets 3, third gets 2, and your fourth place gets 1 vote. These votes are added up. It's not complicated, and the person with the most votes, the 3 candidates with the most votes, will proceed to the general election. This will allow multiple viewpoints to be heard in the general election, and you will know that these people will have an opportunity. Now, I may disagree with a lot of things Ron Paul says, but that man has been really disadvantaged because the Republican establishment does not like him. I disagree with him on his Federal Reserve and think he's that crazy. But, you know, he is being ripped off, and that is unfair, even if I disagree with him. If we did this system, it would give him a chance to get his viewpoints out, because as it is, county by county, he may or may not be in the ballot. State by state, the number of states, even though he's clearly has a lot of support across the country, he's not on all the ballots. I fixed that problem, and Ron Paul and similar politicians, maybe Ralph Nader, will get chances to get into office and be heard. By having the top 4 in the general election from the primary, from all parties, this is completely nonpartisan. We are not giving any power to anybody but ourselves, the people. We are not putting any other requirements to be in office, and we will not, means the people are in power. It will mean that voter turnout will rise rapidly. We have a voter turnout lower than Greece. How our government has not defaulted yet, I have no idea. I have no idea also if we have any freedom left because of our voter turnout. We are a great anomaly. Though, to be honest, with the SOPA bill that almost passed and the number of the other very scary bills, I think we're starting to see the effects in some ways. So, anyways, general election, you'll have 4 candidates. This will be ranked 2, and the person with the most votes will win the election. And everybody has an equal vote, whether you're in Wyoming or California. Which Californians are really disadvantaged right now because they're in a very large state and their voting power per electoral college vote is not worth a lot. While people in Wyoming have quite a bit of influence. I've just fixed that problem. You can consider it ended. Which means that people will be voting, which means we'll get the right candidates in. I have faith in America. I think this is what we need to do to fix our electoral college voting system, our entire voting system. States will then follow. I'm not requiring the states to do this, but if they want to, good for them. Thank you very much, and I hope that if you want more information on these sorts of ideas, go to fairvote.org. Oh, and the general election will be 1 week. Thank you very much.